Okay, considering I'm gonna keep up my OBS thing to make sure that this is recording right, because the last time I tried to record a reaction, we all know what happened there. And if you haven't watched my 2 hour long videos of rewatches, to recap, I'm a huge idiot and I kept messing up something about my recording, and it made the entire thing. It ruined the entire thing. Okay, so here's the new episode. I want to talk about it first and kind of get into the groove of speaking, because I haven't actually like reacted to a thing in a while. Because when I'm just doing the rewatches, I kind of just like talk about things I've thought of before, but now I'm just gonna have to go. Yeah, this is just up to because I was testing the audio mixing. So here's the new one. I've seen a tiny bit just because like I rolled my cursor over it, and the YouTube thing does it where it like automatically starts playing. So I've seen Thomas in the suit, but we already knew he was in a suit because of the trailer at the end of the bloopers video. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking at the start. Okay, so first and foremost, I was not, well, of course I'm super excited for this episode because, it's Sanders Sides, but for however many people I offend, I love all the characters, but out of all of them, probably Patton and Roman are my two least favorite. I'm not sure. But like, I was hoping that it wasn't just them, because, okay, so the first thing we kind of heard about this episode was that it's going to be, because like someone said, for the record, I'm not a member, but I always hear people say like little like, oh, here's something they said about Sanders Sides in the members live stream. So we knew before that, sorry if my brain's gonna get all jumbled, but I mean, that's kind of what you want to watch in a reaction. Oh wow, gosh, I didn't even see the time. It's 51 minutes. I thought, so he said it was longer than he thought it was gonna be, but I thought he meant like another like 40 something minute. Wow, this is gonna be the longest one yet. Jeez. Okay, so we're getting closer and closer to a, full-length feature film Sanders Sides episode. So yeah, the first thing we knew is that it was going to be a part 2 to SVS, because I'm not going to try and say that name again because I always get tongue-tied. A part 2 in a way, but they didn't want to call it SVS part 1 because there was intrusive thoughts in the middle, which would confuse people. I was really hoping, because of that, I was thinking, oh, maybe we're gonna get Deceit's name. Like, this was a long time ago, before we saw, like, the trailer and stuff. I'm like, okay. So, first of all, I was like, Orange Side, are we gonna meet him? Probably, I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna go all out and say, absolutely not, we're not gonna meet the Orange Side, because technically, in the last episode, we just met Remus, which is another side, and the Orange Side, it doesn't seem like he'd fit here. If this is a part 2, and there was no mention of the Orange Side in the last episode, it's not going to be the Orange Side. Then there's, are we going to get Deceit's name? I don't personally think we will. I was thinking that maybe we'd get Deceit's name because SVS seemed like a big turning point for Deceit's character, and if this is part 2, it might have Deceit's name. Also, I thought I heard from someone in the members' live stream they were considering giving Deceit's name in SVS, but decided against it. So I was thinking, oh, that means they probably will definitely do it in the second part of the episode. But I'm not sure about that. So I was worried that it was going to be just mostly Roman and Patton kind of talking, because like there's episodes like the Logan versus Roman, Patton versus Logan, Logan versus Anxiety, back when he was still Anxiety. But the problem, I never realized that. I was like, oh, it's cool that they all kind of debate each other. No, it's always just Logan on one side debating everyone else, because he just likes to fight. Debate, not fight. So I was thinking maybe it's just going to be like a two sides more focused on them. Of course, it's going to be more focused on them, but I hope that they're going to have a lot of the other characters. So, but then I was like, oh, it's just Patton and Roman. As much as I love them, I hope that they kind of get some other characters in there. But then I hope that I'm not mistaken, but yeah, so of course this is video game themed. We knew that from the trailer. It's going to be about the Lee and Mary Lee's wedding and how Thomas ended up dealing with it, and how Roman and Patton kind of fight over it. So, because we know that Roman was kind of on Deceit's side, like he kind of wanted Thomas to follow his dreams, but I personally think he pulled back because he tried to kind of fit in with the others and think, oh, I need to let Thomas be a good person because he's thinking in terms of good and bad. And what I feel about that is like, how I think about like the good and bad thing. I think that's a huge topic of discussion when it comes to these episodes is Thomas a good person, is Thomas a bad person, and then trying to break down that barrier of who's to say what's good and what's bad. And I think Deceit was also kind of trying to do that. So we saw that Roman was kind of on Deceit's side, but tried not to be because he thought that would make him a bad person if he was on Deceit's side. But then, so we kind of see, maybe we're going to see Roman kind of stand up for his point, and then Patton is kind of more aggressive towards standing for his point, and like kind of worried that he's losing Roman to like the dark side, you know? I think that might be kind of it. But then, yeah, I was excited because I saw they have like in the thumbnail here. Personally, I think the thumbnail was better in the, I forget who it was. Someone on, the person who, on Thomas's Twitter, he retweeted a thing about like Remus like holding on to like Deceit's shoulder. That it was this person who did great edits, and she or he or they, I'm not sure, they did a really good edit of a possible thumbnail, and I think that actually looks better. So we know it's video game themed, so it's probably gonna it's gonna have a lot of pixel animation stuff. So we have a little character select here, and we have Roman and Patton selected, and then all the other characters like grayed out, like they're not selected ones. And we have like Roman and Patton's like little avatars, and they're like different style of avatars. So I don't know if that means like it's like they're different styles in the game, or that there's gonna be different styles of video game, and they all seem like pixel RPG. Maybe they're gonna have like some references to less like that games. But I'm rambling, sorry. But I mean, what else are you expecting from a reaction video? You can always skip past this, but I was excited because I saw them grayed out. But the only thing is like they're grayed out. Maybe that's just because they want to put all the characters you know and then say these two are selected. But I kind of think that once they put characters in the thumbnail, they should have the characters in the episode. I can't think of a way. If this is a part 2 to SVS, I can't imagine a time where Deceit is not going to show up in it. Of course, you know me, you know Remus is my favorite character if you didn't know that. Remus is absolutely my baby. I can't think of a context in which he's fit in here. Things I am wanting to happen, I really want to happen, are Deceit and Remus on screen at the same time, which I think, the way that Thomas and Joan were talking about it, it's like, oh, I can't wait for the Deceit and Remus to be on the screen at the same time. It didn't seem like they were alluding to that happening anytime soon in that they were planning, and that was while they were working on this episode, so I don't think that Remus and Deceit are going to be on screen at the same time or interacting. I also am waiting for Remus and Roman to interact in a way that like kind of we look into like Roman's insecurities and how Remus was also affected. Maybe I really want a good bro talk, but I don't think that's going to happen this episode. Even still, I really hope that the dark sides have an appearance because, as we all know, I am a sucker for the dark sides. They're always my favorite. I did see a little, it wasn't really a spoiler, but I saw on Tumblr, which is a minefield right now, with like the filtered posts, but I did see like a little spoiler that's like said something about how that the end card was so cool. So apparently there's something pretty crazy happens in the end card, which I think might mean that the dark sides show up and something happens, but maybe it's another thing like the embarrassing phases where it wasn't about the dark sides, but then Deceit showed up at the end. So we'll see, but there he is. Yep, playing on his phone like he said he would.
Oh my gosh, you made it! We're so happy to see you! How you doing, you beautiful man?
Okay, so I was wondering, so I don't think Lee and Mary Lee are actual friends of Thomas. I'm not sure, because if so, I think they were kind of made up to make the you get to watch Mary Lee, merrily, and their life becomes a dream. I think their names were kind of made up for that pun. If he did actually have friends like that, really good opportunity for a pun. But, okay, so we see Thomas and Lee and Mary Lee here. How are you doing? And then he said, not too great, and it didn't let him say that. So basically, it's going to be him in social pressure. And he said in the, I was planning on playing Candy Crush on my phone, and we just saw him do that, so he's not having a good time. And we already knew that. Pretty rough, actually. Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry for calling you beautiful. That was weird. My bad.
Mm-hmm. It's awkward.
Mary Lee. I always do beautiful.
Aww. And we knew. And we knew that Thomas is kind of, his deal with the wedding is because he wanted to take it off his mind that he's single, and then we have my kissy faces.
Hey, you okay, buddy? You look real sad.
What's the timer?
No worries, no crap, yo.
Oh. You didn't talk.
Oh, sorry, Thomas. Gotta go.
It was so great seeing you.
I wonder who voices them. Ooh! Ooh! It's a 8-bit style intro.
Guess who just got a callback for an
Oh.
Alfred Hitchcock balloon?
It's just a little recap, okay.
When is the callback? April
I don't know if I should have this out because it helps me speak more, but I also want to be immersed, so I'm just gonna keep one out.
Except for Thomas, he loves his friend. I want to go to the callback. I hereby sentence you to 1 day at the St. Clifford's Chapel on the day of Lee and Mary Lee's wedding.
Ah, excited. Yep, we saw this in the trailer.
What the f, everybody? Now, kiddo, if you're gonna dish out F's, why don't we make them friendly hugs? F friends, Patton. Oh, wait, you're talking.
Okay, so we had some little intro, and of course we've got animation and stuff. We've got all these credits. You always know that means it's high production. So we had some. We're gonna have. I think a lot of our soundtrack is gonna be like 8-bit style. So of course he did the F meme, and then okay, so he is upset. He didn't want to go. He missed his callback, so we know that he went to the wedding. So there's that mystery solved. He went to the wedding. We kind of knew that from the trailer, but he went to the wedding. He missed the callback. Now we get to see his reaction. He's upset. We get to see their reaction. I'm sure Roman's going to be upset. I'm sure Deceit's going to be upset. And now we have Patton. I think he's going to try and justify why he made that decision, or why he thinks Thomas should be glad that he made that decision.
About friendly hugging your friends. No! Thomas, you should never. I mean, I'm surprised that you would say something like that about your friends. I always thought that.
So that you should never. So Patton is trying to be like the loving parent who's like trying to gently guide him in the right direction, but we see kind of Patton's other side where he fiercely wants Thomas to do the right thing, and I feel like he feels like he's losing his grip, so he's gonna start lashing out a little bit more, trying really hard to get him to do what he wants. Great tie, by the way. That's quite handsome. But I feel like Patton is gonna start. He's gonna start realizing that he's being really harsh, and he kind of saw that in the intrusive thoughts, like, I'll try not to pester you, I'll try to, you have my permission, but I think that's one of Patton's new struggles, is going to be being too harsh with how he judges, like, whether Thomas is good or not. Okay, I think I need to discuss something that, the whole thing about, like, people demonizing sides and unsympathetic sides. I'm gonna tell you right on screen, because I think I might have said it in my rewatches, but those are long. I think a lot of people are gonna watch this. The thing about unsympathetic sides or evil sides, I think that's not a view to have. Which of course you can have your own opinion. You can make you can look into that side of, oh, what if this is like this? But I think when it comes down to it, I don't think it's possible for a side to be evil or bad, because no side is going to be correct and no side is going to be incorrect, because they're all parts of a person. Thinking about it in a logical way, they are all parts of Thomas, designed for a specific task, designed with a specific thing that they think is best for Thomas, but that's in their mind. They are a specific part of Thomas, and they want him to do that all the time. Roman wants him to always follow his dreams. Logan wants him to always, like, take care of himself in the most logical way. Deceit wants him to do what's best for him. I don't know about Remus. That kind of breaks the metaphor apart, so we'll just ignore him. I think Remus just wants him to kind of do what he wants without having to worry about what people think of him. Patton wants him to be a good person, and everyone thinks that their view is what's best for a human to do. But each of them individually are not people. The way that humans would make decisions is the sides in their mind. They all think that what they stand for is what would be best for Thomas if he did that entirely and didn't think of anything else, any other perspective. that's their job, is to want to get him to do what they think is best for him. They all want what is best for Thomas, but they all have different views of what is best. They can none of them can be right on their own unless a situation calls for one thing or one side entirely, which is very rare in a person. The way Thomas makes his decisions is by the conversation between the sides in his mind, argument. We saw this when Logan and Roman were arguing about what's best for him in the, I forget what the episode was called, but you know what I'm talking about, the one where like there was drawings and the chart about drinking water, and then he said what we did. They were like, but we haven't come to a conclusion, and he said, yes, but like I'm pumped up now. I know what I'm gonna do. You've got good points, and you've got good points. You've both got bad points. That's the point of these episodes, is they have a discussion, and from their discussion, Thomas figures out which each of them have to offer and which each of them are wrong about, and mushes all of those good things together to come to the path that he thinks is best for a human being to follow. Not for a side, for a human being to follow for what's best for him, his friends, and for his life in general. So I don't think it's possible for a side to intentionally try to harm Thomas in any way. And even if like Virgil did, sometimes they think that seeming evil is the best way to get through to him. But overall, I think they're all trying to do the best thing because they are Thomas. They live in Thomas. What would be the benefit to them to ruin his life? That's my view on unsympathetic sides. Anyway, let's get back to this.
That when it came to your pals, that sort of language would be ineffable.
Oh, it's very effable. It's effable as F, with a situation that's...
Calm down.
Excited for them? With so much F-use thrown about, I doubt there's much he'd like to F-use about.
Right, what do you mean, am I not...
So Roman doesn't seem too upset. We'll see.
Let's do. Thank you. I hope we rhyme like this the whole way through. I hope so too. Yoo-hoo! So...
Song!
The fact that the wedding was a total bust. It was? It was. It's just that going didn't pay off quite like we discussed. You mustn't think that going to a wedding to support your friends would have any sort of self-serving ends. I don't.
I didn't think we'd get a song this early. This is a Phoenix Wright type style, I think. I haven't seen this game before, if this is referencing a certain game. So I gotta pay attention to the lyrics, so I might be quiet.
But how about more than just hello? Yeah, something's iffy. Glad you're with me. That the state of
I'm actually gonna go back a little bit to pay attention to the lyrics and not be too excited.
Let's review. Let's do. Thank you. I hope we rhyme like this the whole way through. I hope so too. Yoo-hoo! So
They're not mad at each other.
the wedding was a total bust. It was? It was. It's just that going didn't pay off quite like we discussed. You mustn't think that going to a wedding to support your friends would have any sort of self-serving ends. I don't. But how about more than just hello? Yeah, something's iffy. Glad you're with me. That the state of things is icky. Is there something here we're missing? Maybe. No! I mean, you know that we've gone through all of this before. We four had helped you make the proper choice of wedding over your... Spare me the rest. Yes, but callback for a film that could have been my break. Yeah, you could say. And no one wanted you to go more than that slimy snake. Who pushed to do the egocentric thing auditioning? Yeah, that's deceit. A part of you so hard to chew it left me lost it.
So pretty.
What would that say? I felt forsaken. You were saying that we both have lost our way. But in your face I saw this pain, and so I made this choice. And now I have a restless head. In my bed, I'll just feel this way. What way? The way a groom might feel if he just watched as his bride ran away. But you're gay. I'm saying if I made the right choice, why don't I feel right? You may not tonight, but in time you might. I don't know. I think this feeling's here to stay. It is a pity to admit it.
I like how their hair is different
Than just sitting
in this
at
style.
the wedding feeling. Quit reviewing. Okay.
Boy, how could such an upsetting...
Okay, let's go over that song. So what they're saying is, first of all, they were all gorgeous. That art style is amazing. I circled around the animator's name at the start. I wonder if there's multiple artists or if that's all the same animator. Great style, great hair. Deceit looked quite wonderful. But I love how their hair was different. They were gorgeous. Deceit, that was definitely Phoenix Wright style. The way Deceit was like doing like that thing, Deceit was kind of like, oh gosh, what's his name? Oh oh my god, Phoenix and Edgeworth. Deceit was the Edgeworth, and people have definitely made that reference. So I'm really glad that they referenced that too. So what they were talking about is basically exactly what I've been thinking, what everyone was saying. Everyone was saying at the end of the SVS episode, everyone was confused because it ended in a way that everyone was like, no, yeah, you should have gone to the callback. There was so many better ways to do that. And of course, you could apologize to your friends, but you shouldn't have gone to the wedding. And they're all talking about, so Thomas is just so angry, and I didn't expect that that would be the outcome, is that he would be mad. I thought he would just kind of be upset, but like he feels terrible, and he's upset that like, yeah, the wedding didn't give him the moral oomph, like, oh, I'm a good person, that he expected, and he didn't think that that was comparable to the feeling that he would have gotten, or the big break that he could have possibly gotten by going to the callback. But if he went to the callback, who's to say he would not have a similar feeling where he didn't get the part, and then he felt that what's the point of doing that, because now I missed my friend's wedding, and what if that would have been the proper choice? So he definitely could have gone about it a better way. So to recap, talking about his feelings about the wedding, Deceit is very handsome, everyone's very handsome, I love that animator, and that was a pretty nice song. And Thomas is angry grumpy boy.
Conversation happened in such a fun way.
They just talk to us. More.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why didn't I just talk to them before the wedding?
I mean...
Yeah!
I
You
kinda
could have figured out a better...
shut down fast
Wait.
at an Antarctic ice pop shop, so...
Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I could have just told them everything.
Yeah!
One interaction.
He's finally thinking about this? Is he finally thinking about this? Because this is what we've been saying since the beginning of this argument. Thank you, Thomas. Am I allowed to get angry? Yes, I am. I'm going to get angry right now. This is what we've been saying the whole time. Like, Roman's stupid compromise about, like, that was intentionally supposed to be dumb. There were so many compromises. You just tell them, hey, I have this callback. I could make it up to you. Maybe we can have a nice dinner, and I can congratulate you then, and I can give you your wedding gift then. We have a nice dinner after I go to this callback. I'm sorry, but... And then they'd say, oh, Thomas, we didn't realize that this seems like such a good big break for you, and we wouldn't want to get in the way of that. Ah, gosh. This makes me so angry. Are they suddenly, finally thinking about this after the wedding? Are we idiots, Thomas? Apparently. I mean, he also didn't realize that Virgil was a dark side, so maybe Thomas isn't that bright. Character Thomas. Thomas, I love you. Person Thomas, I love you. But character Thomas is kind of like a quite the dim bulb.
With them was any indication, they obviously wouldn't have cared if I wasn't there at all.
Maybe so. Wait, are you having second thoughts about choosing?
Yeah, but you already went, didn't you? He always had second
Of course
thoughts.
not. I just wish we could have known.
I thought he would be angrier, though.
Maybe it could have, I don't know, made things a little easier for us.
Well, you know, hindsight is 20/20, so...
Okay, but if you're a sighted person with less than 20/20 vision, you don't just ignore whatever you see in front of you.
I see. We should start looking into ways to predict the future!
No.
Very good.
What I'm saying is,
What was that? He became like a British butler.
how they might act in specific situations. I know that they are very understanding people, and I should have used that knowledge. That would have been using...
I'm gonna predict what's gonna happen. He's going to go into a video game style scenario where he resets and retries different ways of going about things. That's my prediction. Also, Roman is a treasure.
foresight. But I didn't do that, so I...
And it does seem like,
Decision with a blind...
and I'm quite upset, it does seem like this episode is going to be just Patton and Roman, perhaps with some cameos of different characters, which it's still going to be pretty good, so we'll see.
fold on. But in
Because they were basically the main characters with Deceit in the first part.
fickle things, aren't they? You think you...
Because Roman was the judge, Patton was the was the defendant and Deceit was the persecutor. Virgil and Logan were also not really part of the last episodes of SBS, so perhaps that's why they're kind of the only. So that means Deceit should probably end up showing up, unless they're just kind of thinking back to him. I hope he does show up, because I think he's the one other character who really had a part to play in this.
Know someone and then wham! Out of nowhere!
Go back a little bit.
But in Patton's defense, people are complicated, fickle things, aren't they? You think you know someone and then wham! Out of nowhere, they fill your apartment with feral cats, and now you're somehow responsible for the vet bills? You've got to give them away, but despite your cat allergy, you've endeared yourself to them, especially to Mrs. Snuffles. More like Mrs. Sniffles, because of the allergy.
I feel like something's wrong with him.
Foresight isn't really the most reliable tool that we have.
We already knew that.
Cool, so we don't use it at all? We did use it. You've known Lee and Mary Lee for most of your life, and they've always lent a helping hand when you needed it. That's true. When your car broke down an hour out of town, who was the only person willing to come out and give you a jump? Mary Lee. I don't know what good she thought jumping would do. What you needed was somebody to fix your car. And Lee always had my back in high school after I came out.
Okay.
Now
So now I'm thinking maybe they are real people.
Face
I don't know.
to face to tell you about their wedding engagement, biggest day of their lives, and they asked you if you could be there. I wasn't even like a groomsman or anything. Well, it's not Lee's fault that he has so many brothers. Catholics. Yeah, Catholics. Those baby-making Catholics. We didn't have the first clue how to make them feel. You thinking about giving their wedding a pass, all because of a callback that really might not work out. And not that you're not a talented guy. No, yeah. Dame Judi Dench, or as I like to call her, Queen Groovy Bench, didn't land her first big Hollywood movie role until she was 61. So maybe they understand. But maybe they still really want you to go to the wedding and feel too guilty to say so. Or maybe you end up going to the wedding and they feel guilty seeing you there because they feel like they took a big opportunity away from you. But they wouldn't have felt that way. But we didn't know that. Foresight means thinking.
I think they would have felt guilty. I would have.
Talking to them about it.
I would have said, okay,
Could have been harmful.
would it not have been wonderful? He said, I have this callback. I'm going to watch the wedding video. I'm going to come congratulate you. We can have a nice dinner. I'll make the dinner for you. I'll make you more wedding cake. And I can give you your present, and you can show me your pretty ring, and I can tell you all about the callback and how it went. And they'll be like, oh, that's wonderful. Glad we came to this agreement. Yeah. Gosh. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Sorry, guys. And I know they're going to disprove me and figure out a way to make me feel like an idiot, but makes me upset.
And this was our chance to be there for them when it counted. Was not talking to them worth it, though? I don't know.
No. You have to talk to him.
What happened to karma, you know? You do something good, good stuff happens to you. Right.
Yeah, that's what
The saying, karma
Patton's was trying to do.
Why can't it
I
be?
think.
Karma is a very fair person. Why does their complexion matter? Well, Keno, unfortunately, life isn't always like your video games. Sometimes you can make all the good choices and still not get the good ending. I don't know if there even was a good ending to get. I'm pretty
Yep,
sure.
I think my prediction's gonna work out.
For he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny. Roman, that actually does sound jolly good. I mean, sure, it does sound very jolly, and we can all
Roman is
agree that you are a good fellow. Can we? All?
Roman is probably one of the most immature ones,
Yes, I can.
honestly, because
We can all.
what happened there? Okay, so I think Patton is like the inner child, but he's also like the dad. I feel like Roman is like he's like 10, and he's gonna stay 10 the whole time, and Patton is like 8, but also sometimes 50. I'm gonna hear what Patton said because they.
Fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny. Roman, that actually does sound jolly good.
I mean, sure, it does sound very jolly, and we can all agree that you are a good fellow.
Can we all agree on that?
Oh, yes, I can. We can all.
Okay. I understand now that I have been a little much the mayor of much.
Yeah.
Sure, when it comes to giving Thomas the third degree on his integrity. Right. And
Yeah.
it's my
Glad we're
job
talking about
to
this.
keep you on Santa's nice list. But I haven't been making you feel very nice. I don't want to make you think you're some
Stupid, dirty, rotten, filthy, silly, Billy, no good for nothing, white,
Now we get to see the conflict is that, oh, and we can see Thomas is trying not to laugh here, filming this, but now we can see the rift between Roman and Patton, and I feel like that's kind of also the rift between Roman and Remus, is that Roman is so dependent on Patton's view. I feel like Roman, out of everyone, and Roman is super insecure, and of course we already saw in learning new things about learning new things about ourselves, that Roman was really dependent on Logan's view of him, and now we're seeing why he's also super dependent on Patton's view of him, and why, and he would do anything, he would do what Patton thinks is good because he's kind of wants to be well liked, so he's going to do what he thinks will make people like him. And now he's kind of, now that Patton's admitting that maybe he was doing that, Roman is able to come out and say, yeah, I felt kind of shitty when you said that. So we'll see.
rat, scoundrel, bitch.
Okay, thank you, Roman, for your help.
You're welcome.
I'm done asking, is Thomas a good person? I'm just here to let you be as good as a good person.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's a relief, I think. So, yeah, you are a good fella.
Hopefully
But not every good fella gets a big
he
award.
means that.
Only Joe Pesci. Well, what do we get? Sometimes it's just this.
A bagel?
What? No. No, nothing. It's nothing. Oh, sometimes you can't get anything because a lot of the time people need.
This is actually more upbeat than I thought it would be.
Let's say you pass
There'd be
by
more
some sort of
deep stuff.
where you can buy games. A game store.
You mean the internet? I'm not going outside. Oh, come on, Roman. Video games mean so much indoor time that they should cost a little outdoor time, don't you think? Anyway, you see a poster for
There is a virus patent?
Frogger franchise.
Oh, you're such a dad.
Ah, buddy, Frogger's not really a big thing anymore. And they're missing out. There is no video game character as cool as Frogger.
How old is he?
He eats
He's
fry for
31.
okay.
He's not older than Thomas.
Without losing his froggy life? Woo! Talk about riveting.
Like, you're such a dad that it's too much to handle sometimes.
Anyway, everyone's raving about the new Frogger. Best one yet. Amazing graphics. At least 16.
Aw.
Do you even know what you're saying right now?
And it's on sale for about, I don't know, as much as a hot dog is worth.
Patton, that's how much you get when you return a game.
You have just enough money to buy it, but as you walk up to the door, you're stopped by a homeless.
Is he 70 years old?
And
Who isn't?
Whoever you want.
Now it's Pokemon.
On Patton? How is Thomas supposed to feel empathy for this person if he has no one to visualize?
Alrighty, it's Leslie Odom Jr.
What?
Why Leslie?
I need backstory for this. What happened, Patton?
I don't know.
He spilled his drink on Stephen Sondheim at a party, and Sondheim said, "Gosh darn it, Leslie, you'll never work in this razzle-dazzle town again."
He should just move to another town, right?
Wow, this hypothetical version of Stephen Sondheim sounds like a real mother crupper. So, Mr. Odom Jr. tells you that he's
I don't know who this is.
hungry, and he points you to a nearby hot dog vendor. It's just a few yards away.
By the liquid lipstick of William Shakespeare.
Okay, so we're not talking about...
Cost Thomas his entire Frogger fund.
So we're basically doing other moral situations. So we're kind of doing like a... Are you a good person? Like we're doing a morality test, but less about the wedding and more about hypothetical moral situations, which makes sense to do with video games.
It's all coming together.
What do
do? Pretend you're talking on the phone so he leaves you alone? Tell him, I don't have any money, Leslie. Hightail it the heck out of here. Buy him a hot dog, or do you hightail it the heck out of there?
And I really want this Frogger game.
Yeah, you do. You woke up at 6 a.m. dull to go and get it. 6 a.m. dull? Do you mean sharp? No, that's really early for you. So you weren't quite able to get out of bed until like 6:08.
Well, regardless, of course I buy him the hot dog. So you mustered up the will to give him a dinner that...
I'm gonna start using that.
Only, uh-oh, when he takes the hot dog, he walks away without thanking you. What do you do now? Do you say, you're welcome, in a way that lets him know you think he was rude? Do you prompt him by saying, what do you say? Do you physically take the hot...
How is Patton coming up with all these horrible, evil suggestions? I wouldn't even imagine he would think of such horrible things.
hot dog back? Or do you go about your day?
I mean, there's an obvious right answer here.
Please don't tell me you're going to wrestle Tony Award-winning actor Leslie Odom Jr. for a hot dog.
What? No. I'm gonna go about my day.
When allergies fill your nose with dread.
Yeah, so there's... When it comes to moral situations, you like to think you do the right thing, but would you?
Even though he didn't
You
say
know?
thank you,
Even though
he
it
doesn't
seems like the right
you didn't
answer,
get him a hot dog.
when you're in the situation, it's very
I
different.
feel like you kind of do, though. Maybe. You don't need the new Frogger. Well, no one needs a new Frogger. Why do you think Thomas has to give the money, Patton? Well,
We get down to the crux of it, because he's...
luxury item.
Because the thing about Patton is that his job is to have Thomas do what's best for other people. And put other people before himself. So Patton's always going to choose that answer.
In that situation, it's so easy. It's all right in front of you. A hungry person comes up to you and says, I need food. And the food I need is right there. You have the money. And it wasn't going to something you needed. You can disagree.
Isn't he a celebrity? Like, he has money, he's rich.
Kinda.
He can buy his own hot dog?
Keep the money for yourself. Mamma mia! Jesus Christ! Superstar, what is this?
Logan! I hope he actually shows up and he's not just in pixel form. I'm sure his voice is going to be there, but I hope he actually shows up. But, okay, so we see Patton. He's saying, like the whole thing is like, even though it's a luxury item, what would bring you more happiness? Because this guy could afford his own hot dog, and he doesn't know that you have the money for it. Like, honestly, like, who asks someone for a hot dog and just expects them to say, above anything, say, yeah, why? Who would ask someone for a hot dog? They say, sorry, no, you can, like, I don't have that. I was actually going to buy a new game. And they'd just be like, hey, like, are you an awful person? I wanted a hot dog. No, they're just gonna go and find someone else to pay for their hot dog or pay for their own hot dog, and you get to do something that would bring you far more happiness. You can see whose side I'm on here.
It's just me, Logan. I've taken this form because I didn't want to be too invasive.
You very much did not succeed. What you do, Logan?
Well, determining what feels
Okay, yeah,
like
it's just
a
gonna use
wrong
voice.
deal isn't really my area of expertise. Seeing how there's not much left at stake at this juncture, and that regret, unfortunately, is a process that can't be expedited, I decided that I need not expend too much energy on this matter. However, I felt that it would behoove all parties involved if I provided relevant information to serve as supporting evidence to any of the arguments that are made during today's discussion.
Neato! So you're making your little factoids optional this time around.
Facts. Factoid is a term coined by Norman Miller to describe false facts invented for magazines in order to manipulate their readers. And
Really?
yes, I suppose they could
I didn't know
be
that.
viewed as optional, your two options being informed or ignorant.
Oh, I've got this one, guys. I'm just kidding. Roman, you shouldn't push people's buttons. Enough joking around, Roman. Go on, Logan. Jesus Christ, superstar.
Thank you, Thomas.
Oh! Guess I won't be wrestling a hot dog away from Logan. Cause he thanked me? I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. You gotta read. It would be an estimated annual cost of $20 billion to eliminate homelessness
It's gonna come
in the
back.
United States, according to
He'll
Mark
leave
Johnston.
before he's able to, yeah.
Americans spend more than $20 billion on Christmas decorations and flowers every year, so it would seem that many Americans
Roman trying to keep up with Logan.
end homelessness in the United States forever. Whew, okay, I'm not doing that again. I am sorry. That was too fast. Can you, one more time, Roman?
Huh. Yeah, I guess everyone doing their small part for those in need could make a difference. Yeah, and even if I can't change things on my own, something as little as briefly helping a greatly troubled, prodigious actor would still give me more pleasure than playing Frogger.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, what did he say there? So that's actually optional things that the watcher can read.
I'm not doing that again. I am sorry. That was too fast. Can you, one more time, Roman?
Huh. Yeah, I guess everyone doing their small part for those in need could make a difference. Yeah, and even if I can't change things on my own, something as
Similarly, in every U.S. household were to give up just 1% of their wealth, then what would be enough to end homelessness in the United States for the next 50 years? Yeah, that makes sense.
little as briefly helping a greatly troubled, prodigious actor would still give me more pleasure than playing Frogger.
Well, yeah.
Would it, though?
Frogger we're talking about. Like, it's not like Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, as long as that's not the main reason you're doing it.
What?
Oh, well, you shouldn't do a good thing just because it makes you feel good. I think.
What else is there, though?
You literally said the opposite to Deceit when we were back in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that. I am one for the notion that, okay, actually, yeah, you know what? Deceit actually said this in the last episode. Everyone's an egoist. Egoism. You don't do things. People wouldn't do good things for other people unless it made them feel good. And the reason it makes you feel good is because you're helping someone else. If you didn't feel good, what's the point? Sure, you'd be helping someone else, but that wouldn't make you feel good. You wouldn't do it unless it made you feel good. So what's the point? Like, sure, it's right to do that, but if you didn't feel good, who would do anything right? Like, what's the difference between doing something because it makes you feel good and doing something because it helps someone else? It makes you feel good because it helps someone else. Something to think about. I don't know. We're gonna talk about this.
We all
Yeah.
agreed that in that situation, the right thing to do was go to the wedding, which didn't feel good at all. So
You didn't agree to that,
I
though.
was wrong. Not to mention,
Everyone
Deceit
agreed.
said that you'd be doing the right thing
The opposite, and then
for some
Roman
reason if you did it
mixed
for
it
your
around.
own emotional gain.
And you.
Wait, what did he say about Deceit?
Definitely. Maybe. Great. Reason
He's
if you
quite
did it
confused.
for your own emotional gain.
And you agree?
Definitely. Maybe. Great. I love that movie.
I mean, you know, I think so. What do you think? Oh, well, I think we all know I'm not exactly an expert in the moral medium.
No, go ahead, Roman. I'd like to hear from you.
Go, Roman.
I
Love you.
don't know how much it matters why you do something.
What do you mean?
Oh, it was nothing. It was stupid. Oh,
No, please continue.
Yeah,
You can't at them, though.
Okay. So, like, say a very handsome prince.
Who's the prince?
I don't know. Leslie Odom Jr.
Oh, wow! Guess old Sondheim couldn't keep him down.
Yeah, that's right. From homeless and royally screwed to castle-dwelling royalty, dude!
Just your typical Tuesday.
Anyway, Leslie offers up a reward.
What's the reward?
Leslie's famous cake.
Phrasing.
What? Leslie's literal cake that he baked. Oh my gosh.
He offers it to whosoever is able to rescue his kingdom from the clutches of the skewed-bellied tyrant who is currently occupying said kingdom.
Oh, it's Deceit. It's Bowser. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, he's so pretty. Look at him. Okay. Okay, scutes are the short, wide, rung-like scales on the underside of a snake. Ooh, I didn't know that. I thought they were like, I think I heard something like that before. I don't remember. Okay, so he's pretty. He is Bowser. Okay.
Even if someone rescued the kingdom for the reward, I don't know.
Oh, Deceit, no!
It doesn't make much of a difference so long as all of the denizens are liberated.
Huh, that is something that, I don't know if it's right.
You don't know if it's a good thing that everyone was saved?
Wow, Patton, way to be side with valid doubts about a complex moral issue. Of course, I think it's good that the kingdom is safe. That's great. The most important thing. But, you know, the people in this kingdom are suffering at the slimy hands of this reptilian rapscallion.
Stop.
I'm a word guy, but, you know, sure. People are being hurt by this reptilian.
Rob, he's not sad.
This person doesn't care about them? They
He's
just
not a
wanna
bad
earn some
boy. He's
reward?
just misunderstood.
That doesn't sound like a
yell at
very
him.
good person to me. Yeah, probably not. Fair enough, but I wouldn't even argue for that much. Saving people for a reward is totally different from helping someone out just because it feels nice to help. Like, if the person in Roman's scenario saved...
A study was conducted at Berkeley that looked at the correlation between an individual's happiness and the amount of selfless acts they performed. No, I read in my psychology book there is like a brain you just get more serotonin if you help people. Everything is based on reward.
the kingdom just because it made them...
Feeling good is a reward.
No one would argue that they aren't a good person. Well,
This was done by comparing three groups. Group that was not instructed to perform any acts of kindness, while Group B was instructed to meet the quota of 5 acts of kindness within a week.
maybe not. Am I not allowed to feel good if I do...
Group C, however, was instructed to perform all 5 acts of kindness within 1 day.
Of course you are.
It was found that the groups B and C, of which performed acts of kindness, saw an increase in how they rated their own happiness. Okay, so what Thomas and Patton are saying right now is that, like, why shouldn't you feel good when you do something? Is it bad to feel good when you help somebody? That doesn't make any sense.
That's just not why you...
The most significant increase was in the Hope Group C, 5 a.m. Okay, yeah, I kind of heard that. Okay, so Patton is saying you don't do good things to feel good. Why else would you do them? This is the stuff that I'm into. Why else do you do good things why would you do good things if it didn't make you feel good? Why would you feel bad for feeling good for doing good things? That means that you feel good for doing good things, which means you like doing good things, which makes you a better person than if you would not feel anything about doing good things, wouldn't it? You shouldn't do things because it will make you feel good. Yes, you should. Why else would you do good things? Why would you go out of your way to help someone else when it would harm yourself or cost you your time and energy if it did not make you feel good? That's just logically doesn't make sense. I'm confused by this prospect.
do it. At least, I don't think so. But, I mean, your morality...
So sad.
You're the guy who makes that call, so...
Isn't he the one that makes them feel good?
Well, you don't do it because it makes you feel good. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Okay.
How would you know what the right thing to do is if it doesn't make you feel good when you do it?
How do we know it's the right thing to do? You just... know.
You know because it makes you feel good when you do it.
Hoping for it, bud. Well, it's kind of just...
And it can be social.
You know?
It can be...
Why
Yeah,
is
morality
it
is
so
a good...
illegal everywhere?
is the feeling when
Why
it's
do we
good.
all agree that that's not okay to
Because
do?
it...
I think it all comes...
biologically, it's what is it called? Altruism is a biological function in which someone would feel bad when a member of their group or a living thing would die or if they would kill them, and a good feeling when they help them. That's altruism, and that's built into biological things. Not all of them, but in most like social creatures, altruism is a biological function, and it is driven by a good feeling when something good is done, and then a bad feeling when something good is passed up or when something bad is done.
Back to empathy. Humans understand each other. We know what
Empathy, yeah.
feels good and what causes pain. If a whole kingdom is in danger,
Yeah, and there's secondhand pain. There's
everyone kind of knows that.
there's empathy, and that's also built in is the way that you can relate to other creatures, especially of your same species. We don't have that as strongly with other living creatures, but we still have that because we're so social. But when it comes, it's a mix of altruism, which is built into you, which is not necessarily empathy, but altruism is more like, it's not sympathy, but it's more like sympathy versus empathy. Sympathy is like, I feel bad that happened to you, but I personally don't understand how that would feel. And empathy is, I know exactly how you feel, and that feels bad. To me, I feel bad because you feel bad. Sympathy is, I feel that bad that you feel bad. Empathy is, I feel bad because you feel bad.
The right thing to do, if you can save a large group of innocent people, is save them. Well, okay. What about, let me ask you this. What if you can only save the large group of people by hurting another innocent
Trolley
person?
problem.
That causes pain, but you said the right thing to do is
Trolley
to
problem.
save the group? Can't hurt an innocent person.
Then you let 4 more people die. Also, those are all his friends. I saw Joan and Quill. Let's see if I can name all of them. Wait. That's, I can't tell, which one is, I think this might be Terrence, this is Valerie, this is Quill, this is Talon, this is Joan, and this is, oh god, I forget his name. I forgot his name. Dang it. Well, or wait, no, this might not be Valerie. This might be, what's her name? Adri? I'm not sure. Yep, and now all your friends died, Thomas.
Criticism, maybe not depict scenario.
Yeah, I know, that's a tough problem. And then there's the whole thing is like, would you change the lever? And then there's so many variations of this. Another one is, would you push a person in the way of the train if it would stop it before it reached the 5 people? And that makes you directly responsible. If you pull the lever, that's like your hands are tied, but then you're intentionally, someone was not in danger at all, and then you pushed them, and you immediately put them in danger, but to save 4 extra people. And less people say that they would do that than if they would change the direction of the train. Personally, whenever I see that problem, I think I would pull the lever and change the direction of the train to kill the one person, but I also don't, if I was the only one there, and nobody was there to like, if the bystander effect would not kick in, I think I would definitely pull that lever. Okay, that scenario was an illustration of the classic philosophy dilemma, the trolley problem, yeah. He's gonna talk about what I just talked about, yeah.
Where my friends die. Okay.
Coined by Judith Thompson, who also devised its 2 most famous variants.
I'm really not trying to argue with you, Patton, but you said
Footbridge and the switch, the latter being the version that was just demonstrated.
everyone knows that it's right to save innocent people when you
Is intended to raise questions about 2 or more priorities.
can. Is that not always true? Well,
Is it more important to minimize casualties, or is it more important to strictly adhere to ethical rules?
not when it's
I'm gonna
like that.
rewind more about what they're talking once he's done. The notion that it's wrong to kill another human being in particular.
Innocent person.
But would you
So
be
that
killing?
trumps the-
But would you be killing the 5 people if you could save them but didn't? That's another thing, is like, does that count as murdering them if you could easily save 4 extra lives but decide not to keep your hands clean? Furthermore, the trial problem asks us to examine the distinction between actively killing someone and passively letting people die. Why is, yeah, okay, so I already know this stuff.
Use the T word in this house. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so go back a little bit.
Criticism, maybe not depict scenarios where my friends die. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to argue with you, Patton, but you said
Yeah, you are.
everyone knows that it's right to save innocent people when you can. Is that not always true? Well, not when it's like that. It's never okay to hurt an innocent person.
I disagree,
So that
personally.
rule trumps the other rule. Roman,
Because passively letting people die, I feel, is
so the
almost
rule about
similar. If you're not in danger and you'd let people die, that's killing them.
Saving people. Yeah, that makes sense, right? But what about
What did he
the
just say?
people that got hurt? Let's use the T word in this house. Oh, sorry. So the rule about not hurting people.
What's the T word?
Rules. It's never okay to hurt an innocent person. So that rule trumps the other rule. Roman. You know. Oh, sorry. So the rule about not hurting people overrules the rule about saving people. Yeah, that makes sense, right? But what about the people that got hurt?
Yeah.
That was a terrible tragedy that you couldn't do anything about. But
You could.
You could have done something. You could have redirected the train. But that something wasn't an okay thing to do. Okay, so it's
Why not?
the end result then. It's about the how. Like
It's
how you
about
do whatever.
what would make you feel better. More people die objectively if you don't do anything. You only abstain from pulling that lever if your moral side would not make you feel as if you did something wrong. It would give you a negative feeling to pull that lever. However, less people would die. So that is entirely contradictory to what they said before, which is that it shouldn't be about how it makes you feel. It should be about how the results and how many people are saved. So it's wrong to pull the lever, but less people die. And you just know it's wrong because of that moral compass, which makes you feel good when you keep your hands clean, or makes you feel bad if you were to change the direction, even though objectively there is less lives lost.
Or you do. Right. The how. And the why. You don't let the train hit the group of people because you think they deserve to get hit more than the one person. Oh my gosh. Batten my blind!
What did he say?
Hit more than the one person. Oh my.
Okay, what Patton is saying ties to the principle of deontology, ethics, prioritizes specific duties above anything and everything else, a value system that is specifically summed up in expressions like duty for duty's sake and let justice be done through the heavens fall. So basically, laissez-faire of moral judgment. One of the duties that Patton is appealing to, which had already mentioned earlier as it is most common argument leveled against redirecting the train in the trolley problem, is the aforementioned ethical rule that one should not murder a fellow human being, even if one finds them. I feel like Logan would pull the lever because objectively less lives would be lost, and he doesn't have a moral compass that would make that happen in him. And that's basically, technically, I think that's what being a sociopath is not having empathy and doing things in more objective sense. And that doesn't necessarily mean you do things that are not morally right. You don't do things for the feeling of a correctly pointed moral compass. You do things based on what you've been taught is morally right or what is objectively right in your eyes. But like you don't have your own moral compass really. Fellow human being, even if one finds themselves in the middle of an extremely specific set of circumstances in which homicide preserves more life than is terminated, there is a natural tension between whatever that is and consequentialism. I'm gonna try this. Deontology determines whether an action is right or wrong without much consideration of the ends of said action. Furthermore, the deontologically inclined might concern themselves with the intention behind a given action, a factor that would most likely be completely disregarded by a consequentialist. Deontological principles were first defined by 18th century German. Okay, so this is a good little form for Logan, because then he doesn't have to take up too much time. But, okay. So, what he's saying is deontology is going by what you think is right or wrong, despite consequences. And then consequentialism is doing what would may have the best outcome despite whether or not that follows moral code.
Oh my gosh.
Patton, my blinds!
I am so sorry.
Did you break my blinds?
I popped up too close there.
Oh,
Hey!
you really cut the tension there.
You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm great.
You sure?
No, I'm good. Figment of your imagination. So okay. So about the whole why thing. What is a good why when it comes to why I should do good? I know you said earlier you do it because it's right. So I guess what I'm asking is,
For a second, I looked at my microphone, wasn't picking it up.
what's the outcome? What motivates me? I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I would say putting more good into the world. I wish
That's really vague.
an answer, but
Yeah, if that's unsatisfying for the person, so that would not cause the person to. This is like also the thing, like watching streams for charity. And when you donate, the streamer shouts you out and says, "Thank you for donating. I'm going to write your name on the board. I'm going to, whoever donates the most, I'm going to send you this plushie or this t-shirt." Does that make you less of a good person? Because I've seen people argue, actually for the Jacksepticeye live stream, people said, don't watch the stream, you should be donating because that's what you want to do. You shouldn't be doing it for any external reward. But when it comes down to it, if you were to offer rewards, more people would donate. Because people on the edge of donating would think, well, I could donate and I won't get anything back except for this feeling that I donated, or I could donate and have a chance to win a t-shirt, which is just that nudge they needed to donate. So is it less morally right to offer rewards for donations, even if the result would be that there is more donations coming in for the charity and the charity receives more money, even if those people who donated did not necessarily do it purely because they thought it was morally right. That's another thing to think about, and that's a discussion that I've seen happen in other communities, streamer communities.
I'm not doing a really great job explaining this philosophy. Logan,
It's a really confusing
what
topic.
does a real philosopher think about what I'm saying here?
Well, Friedrich Nietzsche really wouldn't have been thrilled with anything you've had to say. Primarily because
I used to think I was related to Friedrich Nietzsche, but it turns out I'm not, so that kind of sucks, but my grandpa's last name was similar. So, but I think it was just a common name, which is upsetting, but he's still cool.
pity seems to be at the center of your idea of putting good into the world.
That's not what
Nietzsche famously rejected the notion that pity was a virtue. He once claimed that pity runs counter to the instincts that preserve and enhance the value of life. So Thomas is...
Well, you can't exactly learn how to care about
Hey!
the book, can you?
No! Hey! Patton! That wasn't very morally right.
I agree with the mustache meister either. He does have a super duper unique mustache. What he calls pity, I call empathy, and empathy is good. But I really don't understand what I need to change so that I can meet your standard of...
Wouldn't pity be more sympathy and rather than empathy? Because empathy would be a feeling that you have, and sympathy would be feeling bad for someone else without having to understand that feeling yourself. So I feel like pity would be more like sympathy than empathy.
Motivation? I think I understand. Your desires are getting in the way. The problem is, in all honesty, that you want to spend your money on that new Frogger game more than you want, or even think to give your money to the homeless. And that you wanted to go to that callback more than you wanted to support your friends.
That's it!
Blame
Yes, Roman!
If you're missing that do-gooder drive, I think it's because I'm
No.
in the driver's seat.
No, that's not what we're supposed to be taking away from this. It's not because you're incorrectly in the driver's seat and making him want to do the things that he wants to do rather than be morally right. It's because perhaps you're in the driver's seat because Thomas has subconsciously realized that that is more important to him. Feeling good for himself is more important to him than the boogeyman, as Deceit would put it. It's gosh, this is a toughie because I personally think he should have gone to the callback, but now Roman is trying to say that that was wrong, but has explained why it's wrong for the exact reason why I think that it's right. Am I a bad person? That's kind of what we're coming down to in this reaction. Whoops.
And I'm an awful driver. Perhaps.
Great, you're fine.
Perhaps I should let Patton take the wheel.
Stop it.
I only mean well when I.
Sorry I'm hating on Patton in this episode. I have disagreed with a lot.
You have ever said. No.
Yay! Thomas, get his ass.
Really, Roman? It's the opposite. I need you on my team more than anyone. If we're talking about a drive or Thomas's will, then there's honestly.
Yeah. He's the why you do things. That's Roman. That's why you do things. Is because Roman
Why Roman's confused.
has the passion to.
I don't know what form the drive you're talking about would take. Everything I do is motivated by some sort of feeling. I eat because I feel hungry.
So glad this episode exists because this is what I've been thinking about ever since SVS.
To go out and do good, if not some sense of self-satisfaction. The only thing I'm feeling right now.
You guys, this is what I've been saying the whole time.
Even though you may be apart, you can still share love with your mom from anywhere. Because right now,
Every single time I bring up a point, they bring it up after me. I should just shut up. No, because then I can't say I told you so.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry about whatever I said to make you feel.
This is exactly what I've been saying. Oh my gosh, I'm a genius actually. I retract my bad person statement. I'm an absolute genius and I'm a saint.
Then what? I don't know if I should say. You might as well.
Wait, what did you just say?
I'm kind of scared. But whatever I said to make you feel that way, doing nothing is even worse. What? Never mind. I'm sorry. Worse? Worse than what? I don't know if I should say. You might as well.
Worse than actively killing someone
I'm scared too. Look,
with the trolley.
I already feel bad, so I'd rather not feel bad and confused. Doing nothing is worse than doing a good thing for the wrong reasons. Like, we talked about how you have to.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to give your money to a good cause if you were planning to spend it on something you don't need. And
Yeah, it was a preordained plan.
the same principle kind of goes for spending time? Maybe? Time spent serving up knuckle sandwiches
Yep.
to bad guys in a video game could maybe be better spent serving up soup and sandwiches to the hungry in a local shelter.
I have a difference of opinion on this one, Patton.
Thank you, Logan.
I'm sure we're all familiar with the somewhat tired metaphor for self-care. You must put on your own oxygen mask before helping your fellow passenger. An analogy that warns against the practice of helping others with their personal issues when you yourself are in need of help.
I do need help.
Yes.
It's ironic that illustration
The put your oxygen mask on before others, this is you have to help yourself in order for you to be fit to help others. You're more important because if you weren't around, if you had something wrong with you, you would not be able to morally assist other people if you yourself were not healthy. That's another way to look at it.
so overused at this point because it has almost become as easy to tune out that advice as it is to tune out the actual safety instructions on a flight. Easy and very dangerous. In the event that a plane cabin becomes depressurized, you do not have long to secure your oxygen mask before you risk your oxygen saturation levels dropping too much, leading to hypoxia, which is
Because you would faint, and then you wouldn't be able to put your oxygen mask on your child, so therefore, sure, you don't want to steal the oxygen mask before you help someone else, but if you were to faint before you were able to get your own oxygen mask on, you would either both you and your child would both end up fainted and eventually dying, or your child would be left without an adult supervisor, or your child would be left without someone to help them put on the mask and they would pass out. If you help yourself first, you have a much better chance of helping the child. And I feel like in plane crashes, people just don't think about that because they're so driven by their emotions and their moral judgment in a time of crisis.
Is just insufficient oxygen for life functions. Hypoxia symptoms can include an inability to communicate, confusion, unconsciousness, and possible death.
3 out of 4 of those are normal for me. Do I have hypoxia right now?
Having heard a piece of information before does not give you license to ignore it in the future, especially when the consequences of forgetting are so perilous.
Logan, I completely agree with you. But I really don't see how that relates to what we're talking about. Yeah, Logan, like you said earlier, this isn't really your
I love his
area of
expressions.
expertise. Patton never said Thomas couldn't help himself, especially in a situation as dire as putting on his oxygen mask in a ground-bound plane. Of course I wouldn't say that. I've agreed in the past that Thomas should take the time to make sure he's doing okay and to temporarily put himself first if he needs to.
And just like all of the moral dilemmas we've been discussing, it can seem easy to confidently state what you would do in a difficult situation without legitimately knowing how you would behave when your instincts take over. In theory, you believe Thomas can and should take some time to care for himself, but every point you've made in today's discussion has contradicted that sentiment.
Well,
Yep.
Video games versus community service is a threat to Thomas taking care of himself.
Nearly every answer
But he would be happier.
to the moral questions throughout this discussion has
Is help
suggested
other
that
people
a moral
before
life
himself.
is a life without spending surplus capital and time on leisure activities. Dr. Robert A. Stebbins defined leisure as activity engaged in during free time which people want to do and actually do in a
Think
satisfying
if
or
you do,
fulfilling way or
that's where the guilt comes, is I could be doing something to help the world right now, but instead I'm helping myself and I'm doing something that I want to do. That shouldn't make you feel bad. Of course, if you have the opportunity to help some people, that's good, but you shouldn't feel obligated to go out of your way every second of your life in order to help the world, because then you would have no time to do things that you want to do, and then your life would be less enjoyable, even though you've helped so many people. You need to focus on yourself sometimes, and this is Patton's problem, is that he is the help other people, and that will be best for you part of Thomas's brain. But that's not the case. Everything needs to happen in moderation.
leisure means experiencing freedom. It's your time and you do what you want with it, which
And that's what
contributes to a feeling of control and improved self-esteem.
And that's all what Roman's about, is doing what you want with your time, doing with something that will improve yourself. So that's why Roman's having a hard time with that side of things.
A lack of control and self-esteem are two factors that you all now understand can worsen Thomas's relationship with intrusive thoughts, and they have. Additionally, Doctors Iwasaki, Messina, and Hopper wrote that leisure time
Yeah, we kind of talked about this in dealing with intrusive thoughts.
Pleasurable activities stimulate the production of neurochemicals, which can then improve one's physical health. Leisure is something that Thomas needs more of.
I struggle with this.
in order to feel like he has a life.
Productiveness versus
Suggesting that
personal
Thomas isn't being as good of a
happiness.
person as he'd like him to be if he doesn't sacrifice his life for others.
Whoa! That is not what I said.
Oh, is it not? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, you're wrong.
So if it was between Thomas's life or another's, you don't think Thomas should give his life up?
Whoa,
Oh, and this other person is an innocent little lamb.
Okay,
Or how about...
I actually said this, I think it was in one of my rewatches. I personally believe, when coming down to it, if it's literally just, if you were face to face with the devil, and he's like, I will snap my fingers, and either you will die, or your wife, your friend, your child, your mother, someone else will die, or you will die, I think you should choose yourself. You are more important. I know that's a controversial opinion, I guess, but personally that's always what I think. And of course it comes there, then there's like the whole thing about, is the person younger than me, will they live longer? That's another thing entirely. But when it actually, let's say when it's a person of your same age, if this person is almost exactly like you but not you, you should say yourself without any other external variables. Despite your relation with the person, you are priority to me. I don't know.
A group of innocents. I don't actually. I would like to know, Patton. What should Thomas do in that kind of situation? I don't.
When allergies fill your nose with
Stop it! Get out of here!
sickness of pus instead.
That was important. That was in the trailer.
It's okay, please come.
Why is he a frog?
Do all think of people who lay down their lives for others as the greatest heroes, so I don't know.
You don't know? Earlier you suggested that all people naturally
Oh, Lily Paddington.
right and wrong. So, should Thomas die so that others may live?
Yes, I mean, maybe, or maybe not.
What a voice.
What do you think, Thomas? If it's your life or Leslie's?
By the slow wit of Heracles, Patton, leave Leslie out of this one.
But how is Thomas supposed to feel empathy for this person if he has no one to visualize?
Is there no one else he can feel empathy for?
You're right, Roman. Thomas's life or Lee and Mary Lee's? What do you say, Thomas? I don't know the right answer here. It's up to you.
This is intense. Logan!
This entire conversation has become so muddled due to a constant misleading misuse of conscientious language. You'll need a sharp side to cut through all this bull. A sort of subterfuge.
Oh my god! Ah! Holy shit. Oh my god. Wait, give me a sec. It's a lot easier to impersonate someone when it doesn't look like them in the first place if it's a pixel version. Oh my god! I'm gonna murder someone. Give me a sec, wait. If any of you haven't picked up on it, that's Deceit, disguised as Logan. I love him. I love him. Wait, was Logan the one talking when we did the Bowser thing? Was he talking about himself? Wait, when we had the whole thing where Deceit was Bowser, was that Logan talking? Okay, so, but that's weird, because when Logan popped up at the bottom, the little facts, I wonder if that was actually Logan, or if Deceit just popped up here. The way his voice changes, God, he's wonderful boy.
Huge specialist. The Lord of the Lies. Unhappy to oblige.
Whoop, whoop! Reptilian Rapscallion! Reptilian Rapscallion! We've got a code yellow! Deceit! What have you done with Logan?
Nothing at all, and I resent the question.
Hold on! What are you talking about, Deceit? Who's misleading who?
Patton's misleading you.
Frogwash! I may be amphibian, but I am...
That one motion, he took the thing and he grabbed Thomas and he pulled him back. This shows that Deceit is like, no, Thomas, I'm gonna set your head right because I have a valid opinion and I want to protect you. Thank you, my boy, my lovely boy. I always believed in you. This is going to murder me. I am going to drop dead, honestly. Sorry if I'm peeking the mic. I'm sorry.
Coming from the self-proclaimed Lord of the Lies. Do keep it up with the wordplay. It never gets old.
Don't make fun of Roman's wordplay. You were so into it last time. You got... Make him feel bad. Calm down. Oh, I love how his little logo is here. And then Patton's little logo is here. Oh, speaking of which, I've got this. I just made this recently. It's a doll. It's like a posable doll version. And it's the snake with two heads. And I call them Fib and Verity. That's what I named Logan's logo. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So they're going to be right here.
Purpose, Thomas. I don't think the little guy or the big frog is capable of that sort of thing. He may have just...
Okay, so that's gonna fuel a lot of Moseat stuff, but now we get the thing. We're not. Here's the thing: is like now Deceit's not saying I was never arguing with Patton. I don't think he's capable of intentionally misleading you. I think he's doing what he thinks is right. This is what I've been saying. I thought none of them understood it. Apparently Deceit understood it the whole time. Deceit, why didn't you help before? I love you. No, wait. Deceit's, we're finally seeing a good side of Deceit. We're going to see him help out the whole team. This, you know what this is going to lead up to, is Deceit's fucking name reveal. Oh my god! By the way, my...
threatened the life of Broadway's original Aaron Burr himself, but you leave our rosy-cheeked riveter alone. Patton, I'm loving this new direction that you're going with your rhetoric, sprinkling in a few maybes, who knowses, or what do you think? Why are you doing that? Because I found out that I was being too...
The way he's talking, every episode Deceit is in, he just gets sexier, and I can't. Sorry, no, but you know what? He's Pixels, so like, it's all about the voice acting, and that's the deal. Is I'm way into voice acting, and our boy here. Oh, and I never even noticed. Yeah, now we have a new thing to draw on fan art with him. He has this Sith cane hook thing, and then I feel like this is gonna come off. This is gonna be like a sword, but so now he's being more empathetic towards. He's speaking more like someone who's trying to join the argument. Of course, he's still doing like he's still being kind of patronizing, but now he's trying. I feel like he's kind of like disguising it as like going against Patton, but you can see he's actually trying to get Patton to say what he's thinking and figure out for himself why what he's doing is wrong. And now Patton is admitting that because he was being too morally strict, now he is super confused about what he should be doing, because he realizes that he was hurting Thomas, but he doesn't know how to alternatively help Thomas, because he did what he knew was what he thought was best, but that ended up not helping Thomas. So what is he supposed to do now? And that's the thing that he's struggling with right now, is he thought he was doing what was best for Thomas. He thought that he was leading Thomas down a good path, and then he learns that everything he thought was right caused Thomas to feel bad. And this is him floundering and trying to figure out. He was trying to teach them his views on morality, but even he didn't know anymore. And that tears him apart. And he was trying to explain to them, but now we're seeing more and more that he wasn't trying to explain to them. He was trying to speak about it so he can explain to himself how he thinks, but he doesn't know. And now we have Deceit here helping him out with that. This is going to lead to a lot of Moseat, I feel like, but I personally don't. That's personally one of my least favorites, but I might. Gosh. Play.
Top on Thomas, and it was driving him hopping mad. So I tried to share my thoughts in a softer way.
Right, because making Thomas feel inadequate for not dying in someone else's stead isn't tough at all. Here's the thing, Patton. Pushy is pushy. That faux flexible rhetoric that you're using to soften your approach doesn't change
It just confuses things.
It just disguises them.
That was just a hypothetical. Patton's not actually suggesting that Thomas should pursue martyrdom. Right, I don't want Thomas to croak. That's my job.
We're talking about what-ifs, worst-case scenario kind of stuff.
What I am saying is Thomas has a really good life that other people don't. You're over there talking about putting on your oxygen mask before helping another passenger, but we're not in a crashing plane. If the situation was that serious, then sure, he can focus entirely on himself. But does he deserve it? I don't know. Man, I don't know if I can believe whatever you tell me.
And then that's where the thing, activate skill comes in, where you feel, it's the whole check your privilege thing. You should always remember you have privilege, the privileges that you do, but you shouldn't let that prevent you from seeking, from using, from you shouldn't let having privilege keep you from enjoying that privilege. You should enjoy your privilege. You just should never forget that what you're enjoying is a privilege. And you should use that privilege to help others, but you shouldn't feel guilty for having privilege that you weren't. You didn't have the choice to say, oh, do I want privilege or do I not want privilege? Anyone who had that choice would say, yes, I would like to be privileged. But when it comes to someone but you're always going to be less privileged than someone else, you're going to be more privileged than someone else. Feeling guilty about that is how, this is so hard. If you have a better life than someone else and you can help someone, of course you should. But you should also be able to enjoy the privileges that you're given without feeling guilty for not always using it to help other people. And that's what he's getting at.
Treating yourself is something that you can take too
Wow.
far.
You can take anything too far, Patton. You've taken things too far. The plane...
Is Deceit becoming my favorite character? I think so. He's literally saying every single point I've made since I joined this goddamn fandom. Every single point. It's the Yerkes-Dodson curve. I don't know if that's specifically for anxiety, but the Yerkes-Dodson curve works with any of the sides. You can overdo something, you can underdo something. The thing about the light sides and the dark sides is that the light sides are just, their threshold is higher, dark sides, the threshold is lower. But if you have no selfishness, you're going to hurt yourself. If you have too much selflessness, you're gonna hurt. If you have too little selflessness, the only thing that's different between the dark sides and the light sides is that the dark sides have a smaller threshold. If say you get too anxious, that's bad. The anxiousness, you want to keep it at about this level. Morality, you want to keep it at about this level. But if you get too much of either, it's just a smaller threshold for the dark sides, but every single one of them is valuable. And I feel like that's what they're saying. If you get too much logic, you become apathetic to, or you become too objective, you don't think, it pulls you away from all of the other things. Balance needs to be reached. The thing about this is balance, and there's no good sides, there's no bad sides, you just need a balance. There's a little more weight to what the dark sides do, so you need less of it. it's easy for them to go overboard, but they're still important. And that's what he's saying. And that's why we're gonna get his name, because we're gonna realize the value of the dark sides, and we're gonna talk about this. And Patton just completely murdered Thomas. So, I mean, and he didn't even say anything about it. So, like, yeah, he went a little too far. And I think he's a little tough. This is a little tough, Patton. You might need to calm down a little.
Is going down. You need to give Thomas some room to breathe.
Thomas's mental health. Deceit and Patton to Thomas's mental health. That's all. And wait, no. So everything is messed up. It's just kind of seeing it, finally realizing that what's happening is not healthy. He's gonna be crying.
I really don't know what I'm talking about. I can't not know. Patton.
Poor Patton, God.
We can still beat him. We've beaten him before. Sorry,
He's there in person! Oh my gosh! He's fleshy and not pixely. You guys, that's the real boy. And you saw his face. Wait, look at his face. Wait, when his face, look at this.
Ow.
See, he's not trying to be mean anymore. He's just trying, you know.
Not looking this direction the whole time. Don't give up now. No.
Yeah, because Logan and Virgil aren't there.
What? How? He's the actual snake on the plane, and I, for one, am tired of this.
Did you see the little nose switch? That hurt him. Look at how that hurt him. Wait.
We can still beat him. We've beaten him before. Ow. Sorry, I have not looked in this
Wait for
direction
him.
the whole time. Don't give up now. No. He's right.
Watch how it hurts him when he says that.
What? How? He's the actual snake on the plane, and I, for one.
He's upset because because Roman was the one who was on his side for a lot of SVS, and he thought he was gonna. That's actually I wrote part of a fanfiction that I wrote in about visiting, and that was a Rosie thing, but it doesn't even have to apply to that. He wants someone in his corner, and he needs to take advantage of whatever he can get, simply because he needs someone to see his side, and if that means he will go to those lengths to get his point across, because look at how they're treating him. Look at this. He's been, I'm not going to say brainwashed because that's intense, but he's just been, the way he thinks, the reason he disagrees with deceit is because deceit is bad. And that's why Patton does it, but Patton has his own agenda. All that Roman is doing is saying he's bad because he's bad. Why would we listen to him? Because he's bad, and that's what Virgil's doing, but I'm sure we have more backstory with Virgil. But he sees Deceit's side, but he tries not to listen to it because he's heard that Deceit is bad, and we're gonna hear more about that, I feel.
I'm tired of this morality-fighting snake on this metaphor.
Morality-fighting snake. He is against moral judgment. He wants us to be immoral. He wants us to be evil.
I'm actually glad you brought up the oxygen mask illustration again, Patton.
Yeah, and that means you're not glad, right?
Of course not. He's just trying to build up a false confidence in you so that you can plummet to even greater depths. That does sound like a very funny, wholesome prank, but no, I mean it.
You can hear it in his voice. He's intentionally not using the evil voice. He is actually becoming who he is, who Deceit is. And we're gonna see now we're getting, he realizes he's finally got through to him, so he's letting down that guard and actually trying to talk to them. And we see that he's still, the way he just said that, we see that he's still he was still, like, this is exactly what I wanted to happen with Deceit's character. Is of course he'd still be a little bit of, you know, like a, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, a little bit of a little shit, but, and like he'd still lie and he'd still prank and he'd still do all that, but overall he needs to just be understood. And I feel like he's just gonna be, it's like what happened with Virgil, is Virgil didn't start being all happy and lovey. Virgil is still, he likes to be scary and he likes to be unpredictable, but he's still accepted. And I wanted this to happen with Deceit. And when Deceit was first introduced, there was a few people who were saying, I don't want him to have a redemption arc, we need a villain. I want him to be there so bad. I hope they get new areas in the apartment to let Deceit stand there and make decisions. I hope that this means he's going to be a character one of the main characters who doesn't just show up whatever. I really hope that he doesn't just show up, because a part of the Sanders Aside series is they said we're going to be able to do more with the dark sides. I hope that this is where Deceit gets introduced and he actually comes a lot more often, like comes into the conversation. And I know that probably won't happen and he probably will just pop up whenever, but I hope that this really changes things around.
The idea is that you need not reach for your oxygen mask unless the plane is crashing. But when you apply that logic to real life, the analogy falls apart. A plane going down is an emergency, but self-care shouldn't be put off until you experience a mental health crisis. Mental health management is a little more like training to be a lifeguard. You have to spend time practicing and preparing and building up your strengths so that when you're inevitably faced with an emergency, you're better equipped to handle it. Wait, but
He's a mental health advocate. He is self-care. He's not selfishness. He is self-care. You need to care about yourself. You need to pay attention to yourself. It's not always best to put others first, because you have to come first to help others. This is what I've been saying the whole time. Deceit is my soulmate, actually.
You just used a job that's all about helping others as a metaphor for me putting myself first.
Yeah, Joy! I realized that before you brought it up, just as I'm sure you realize a metaphor someone makes up on the spot isn't going to be perfect. How about this?
He's got a temper on
In
him.
some games, you have to use your turn to give yourself a power boost or to heal yourself. And even though that move only benefits...
We're totally getting his name.
It ultimately makes...
Okay, here's a little thing that I kept wanting to happen when Deceit reveals his name, is he reveals the wrong name, and then he tries again, he reveals the wrong name, and he says a bunch of names that are not right and just lies before he says the real one. I just think that would be a funny gag. I actually saw some people say you should take it farther and have him give his name in one of the episodes, and then the next episode when Thomas tries to refer to him as that, he's like, I'm sorry, I lied, it's actually this. But I hope that they use that gag. Even if they don't, though, because it is a heartfelt moment, so they don't need to have a gag, but I think that's a really funny gag idea.
Makes you a more helpful party member. Oh, shit. Not that any of you care, but
I love how Logan just intimidates all of the dark sides. Logan is just a dark side wizard. He's just like, let's take it down a peg, hun. He's like, yeah, sure, you impersonated Logan, but what did it cost? How will Logan...
not that any of you care.
Wait, what did he say? Did he just say, ah, shit? What did he say? He said, aw, shit, something. Shit, bitch? I don't know.
And I don't want
I love the
I'm just
censorship.
here to deliver one last fact, then I will do you all a favor.
I love how he's scared of him. He's just... That's so funny. Oh my god. Not the name we care, but I'm unharmed and I don't want to talk about it. I'm just here to deliver one last fact. Okay, so it looks like Logan was actually there most of the time, but then popped up. Then Deceit started coming up. I wonder when that change happened.
Singer is an Australian philosopher and activist who champions the movement known as
Look at him, he's so uncomfortable.
The primary feature that differentiates effective altruism from other moral philosophies is its practicality. It employs the heart and the mind so that effective altruism can earn its namesake and actually be effective. The aim is to help as many people as possible.
He's starting to actually help his point.
Perfectly adequate standard of living. So, a poor, sick person giving 5 of their last 15 cents to an aid organization, while incredibly altruistic, is not effective altruism because that money won't go very far. And the act would only harm that person's already unacceptable standard of living. Fellow effective altruist William McCaskill recommends that people who can
That makes sense.
should
I like
go
that.
into fields like banking or finance because more money earned means more money to give.
Right, like I said, I need to give myself a buff so that I can better help others.
And you need to maintain an adequate standard of living. You can't forget that part. If the variety of generosity that you
Look at how happy Deceit is to finally have someone on his side. That, you can see that's, look at his face. He's just like,
Right, like I said, I need
Wait.
to give myself a buff so that I
wait
can
for Deceit's face. He's just so happy that he doesn't have to shout at people for them to understand.
forget that part. If the variety of
Look at that!
generosity you subscribe to leaves you feeling
Sweetie!
or like your life isn't your own, then you need to reevaluate things.
What do you know? If it came down to video games or volunteering at a local shelter, it actually might be okay to prioritize gaming sometimes, if video games are an essential ingredient in your recipe for self-care. Emphasis on the sometimes, though, right? We should still try to help those in need. Whatever, sure, if that's your thing. I mean, totally, yes, of course.
Yeah, so we see we need a certain amount of deceit, or of, still don't like that name for him. He shouldn't just be lies. Lies are a part of selfishness, but that shouldn't be his name, which is why we're seeing another side of him, which isn't deceit-based, so that's why we need to have a name, because the names are what help us make them a bigger piece of the puzzle without having to put a label on them. But, so we can see here that, like, deceit still, you still just need a small amount of the selfishness in order for a lot of the mental health to work, but you still need the morality to counterbalance him. And we can see that deceit and morality are like the opposites, and then I think Virgil and Roman are the opposites. So that means probably Logan and, or Roman and Remus, I think, are probably like one side, and they're like they're the opposite to Virgil, and then I think that means Logan is probably going to be the opposite to the dark side, or to the orange side, when they come out. But here's the weird thing, also. If we're seeing now that that dark sides are not dark sides, if we stop labeling them that, what's the point of hiding the orange side anymore, and when the orange side appears, will there be a conflict? If we here are learning if we're right here, we are learning that there is not necessarily dark sides, light sides, and then that's a bad way to look at things. That's going to really change the way that the orange side, I think, is introduced. And also, I had a theory that, like, the orange side was going to be the bad person that Thomas doesn't want to be, or self-hatred, but this seems to be evening all that out and, like, helping Thomas understand that, so I don't think that anymore. I think the orange side is going to be, I really like the anger idea, but originally I thought that orange side might help him with this whole situation, but since that's already being cleared up, I don't think that that's going to be related. What was I talking about? Okay, I'm just going to play the video.
But mental health should be regarded with the same life or death attitude as physical.
Yes, thank you, mental health advocate, deceit. But then there's, I love how he sounded like Remy there. Yeah, sure, whatever, that's the thing.
Health. You've been taught to feel guilty for taking care of yourself. But you were also taught that Christopher Columbus was a pretty cool guy. A lot of your education was, of course, forgive the pun. So what, we're supposed to do a complete 360 and head right back into selfish sin?
Wait, what was the pun? Oh, course. Like, okay.
I mean a 180. Don't you talk to me about math. You're not Fogan anymore. That's Faux Logan. If you're too slogan, you're right. So, why don't we move on to something we're both familiar with, Roman? Mistakes.
Oh, yeah, talk
I
about
was actually
Roman.
very impressed with you. You made such a noble sacrifice. Don't try to flatter me, Snake. I don't need to flatter you now, Roman. I mean this.
Yay! We finally learned, yes, he was intentionally trying to flatter Roman in order to get him on his side, but now he doesn't need to because they finally understand this is what my whole fanfic, the visiting fanfic, was all about. So, I actually, should I link that in my description, that fanfic? Because this is talking about a lot of this Roman deceit back and forth.
You, in particular, made a significant sacrifice when you sentenced Thomas to attend the wedding instead of the callback. That was a costly choice. Thomas lost a huge opportunity and a good amount of mental health points in the name of being there for his friends. He didn't get anything out of it other than a new high score in Word Crush. That's the closest to an act of true selflessness that I believe is possible. And look, it served no one. Lee and Mary Lee seem to have appreciated Thomas showing face as much as they would have appreciated any other guest's attendance. So if they gained nothing, and we lost something...
Yeah, it's all about balance.
Loss. So maybe...
So it's all about the net gain.
Isn't always the answer. Okay, well, that's over and done with, so... What now? You need to unlearn that selfish is a dirty word. And for your sake, you need to start practicing a little more selfishness. In moderation, as all things should be. Well...
You guys, I cannot believe this is happening. Oh my god. This is what I've been saying since SVS happened. This is what I've been saying since Deceit was introduced. Well, since I entered the fandom, honestly. Because no, I entered the fandom around the time that Deceit was introduced, I think. So I've been having these thoughts that Deceit is saying for years. Thomas, why do you keep this from me? Why? If you... gosh, they're saying everything I've been trying to say. Everyone, whenever anyone didn't understand something, I'm like, here's what they're trying to lead up to. This is the point that they're trying to make, and they're finally saying it. I think I'm going to cry.
Almost all things. What do you mean by almost all things? You're right. We wouldn't want to plant too many trees. Just think of all the CO2 that might be absorbed. Huh? You got me there. Well, when is it enough? Trees? No, selfishness! How long must we act selfishly until Thomas is ready to start putting more good into the world? A good question for another time. But I'm sure you'd have us believe that that time will never come. And even if it does, what's to stop you from telling us that we've done enough?
Acting like he's evil, yeah.
Maybe we could do more. Oh, Thomas dropped a dime.
Isn't that what they're all trying to do, though? Is trying to get Thomas more over to their side. Roman has tried to do that. Logan has tried to do that. They've been trying to pull Thomas too far over, and it would have hurt him. But now that it's a seemingly evil side of Thomas, when you look at it for, like, face value, this is seemingly a bad side of Thomas. So now that's very bad, that this might be the way that this side functions. But that's the way all sides function.
I'm in the St. Jude charity box. What a good boy you are, Thomas. Nay, I say.
He just did a Deceit impression. I have to watch this.
That we've done enough good for others, when maybe we could do more. Oh, Thomas dropped a dime in the St. Jude charity box. What a good boy you are, Thomas. Nay, I say. We are ethically compromised if we give the Bananaconda a seat at the table.
No.
I don't know that we are.
Ah!
We can't trust him. He's asked...
Thank you, Thomas! Ah! I'm so goddamn happy. You have no idea. Oh my gosh. I'm actually... I think I'm going to be talking about this forever. Honestly, like every second of every day. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me, actually.
Asking us to go back on things we've known for years. Rights and wrongs. Shoulds and shouldn'ts. How?
Sorry if I clip the knife so much.
I don't have a simple answer to that question.
And they said a seat at the table. Having him in a seat at the table. Does that mean around the apartment? Will he be there? My heart is going so fast. I'm so happy.
But here's a start.
How can we trust him? I can't, you can't, but here's a start. We know that a huge show of trust is giving your name. This is where we hear it. Here we go. What is it? Tell us.
My name. My name is Janice.
Janice!
It's a girl.
Middle school librarian?
It's a stupid name. Oh, Roman, thank God you don't have a mustache. Otherwise, between you and Remus, I wouldn't know who the evil twin is.
Damn! I gotta walk that off. Holy shit. Holy shit. We're getting into every single thing that I hoped this episode would get into. I am unbelievably happy with this episode. Oh my god. Look at how he's almost crying. That is the angst that I like to see. This is my favorite thing in the world, actually. My favorite thing ever. So now we get to see Deceit's views of Remus, and he said evil twin, and I think... So we're getting into Roman's insecurity when it comes to Remus, and... Gosh, just play it right now, oh my god.
Are you guys seriously going to take his side? Oh no,
You can hear the tears in his voice. Oh my god. Remus, you need to have a bro moment with Remus. He's not my guy. You're a sweetheart. But you can't make fun of people's names. That was a huge show of trust. Also, he took off the glove. I'm kind of upset there were no scales under it, but you know, I don't know what that means actually. No. Are the gloves a thing that keep him from telling the truth? I don't know. That's crazy.
Over me? Thomas.
Oh, he feels bad about it.
I thought I was your hero. You are.
Say you're sorry.
Wow. I can't believe
We're getting into it.
Forget that he's evil. You're not.
Oh, Roman, oh my god. I'm actually gonna cry. Okay, wait, here it comes. This is intense, you guys. That hurt. That was a dagger to the heart. Oh my god. So you saw the little smile Deceit did, like he thought Roman was finally realizing that, see, here's what I was trying to say. You're not bad, Remus isn't bad. This is not, the problem is that you think this way. But he doesn't get it. And now he's going more and more into, and I totally didn't imagine Roman would be the one fighting Deceit the most. Because I think Roman got this ideology from Patton, but Patton has changed the way he sees it. But because of Roman's insecurity, he can't change it that fast. He has to work it out himself. He's gotta just scream for a while, honestly.
Not. Or you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be good. You can't. Roman.
Good and bad.
Everything's gonna be okay, kiddo. We love you. Right.
No, come back. No, Roman, come back. No, please don't leave like that. Please. Oh my god. Okay, there's still enough left.
Do you think there's a limit on how many times someone can say sorry before you have to admit that they're just bad for you? Oh, definitely not. I'd love for someone to ruin Thomas's entire life one apology at a time. Okay. The reality is that it depends. On what? Where to start? How many things have they had to apologize for? How frequently do they have to apologize for things? How terrible were the things that they did? One of the biggest factors, in my very humble opinion, is whether or not they seem to be making an honest effort to do better, even if that effort is counterproductive. That does sound very annoying. Again, it depends.
Another thing about whether or not Remus will actually, or Janice. Oh, that's gonna take a while to adapt to. Deceit, Janice. It does sound like a librarian. Holy shit. Oh no. What have they done? But, can we call him like J? JJ? J? Keep calling him D? J? DJ? Let's call him DJ. No, that's awful. Holy shit. So if he was in every episode at a place, they'd have to do the makeup every time. But considering the production value is higher on every video now, that probably wouldn't take too much. I'm just drained, honestly.
I guess I know who I need to apologize to. I'm so sorry, Leslie.
It's okay. Just hope today we all learned not to...
Thank you, Leslie. Yes, Leslie Odom Jr., everyone. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Now apologize to Deceit.
Sides, not Odom sides. I'm not threatened at all. And Thomas, yes?
Oh, to
I
Thomas.
finally understand what my problem has been. Oh, yeah? Time. When you were younger, pointing you in the right direction was a little easier. Those examples I gave earlier, don't kill, don't steal, they're not really difficult conclusions to come to. Even those can get kind of complicated. I don't want to think about that. But maybe that proves my point. A more mature person comes with more mature moral questions. Like I told you before, sometimes I don't know the way. But when I told you that...
Sorry, but I don't know the way.
You're so scared.
You gotta know the way, yeah.
So I said to myself, all right, Patton, Thomas needs you. You're responsible for his morality.
If you don't know, you have to say you don't know to save someone from leading them in the wrong direction. Even if they need help, if you're giving them the wrong help, that's the wrong thing to do. It's better for you to not help than give them false help.
You can never not have an answer for him. And then I promised you I'd keep fighting. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way that giving too simple of answers to complicated questions can do more harm than good. So, I'm sorry. Again, it's okay, Patton. I know you'll do anything you can to make things right. Thanks for trusting me, still, kiddo. I'm gonna go check out Roman. Before you go, I think I understand now what it means, Deceit being here as a part of me. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, that's cool. Talk about me like I'm not here. Yeah, and it's not that I'm an evil liar.
Called him Deceit again, yeah.
You know, fractionally fiendish.
It's gonna be tough.
Everyone has a capacity for deceit, including me. And all that means is I'm not perfect. Just like anyone else. And those imperfections don't make you any less worthy of love. Janice, I'll take care of him.
Yay! Mom deceit.
So, I suppose now we begin compiling a list of people we need to nudge down a flight of stairs until they hold another round of callbacks. Oh my gosh, no! Relax, I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding. Baby steps. No! No baby steps! No steps! And no throwing people down them! No violence! You're right, of course. There are much less barbaric, much more fun forms of sabotage. Don't make me regret trusting you. I don't want to be stuck with an evil snake boy. You're not stuck with an evil snake boy. You're just stuck with a snake boy. Oh, brother. But seriously, using a mobile game to hide from your sadness and regret at the wedding doesn't count as leisure time. Take some time for yourself, Thomas. You're right. Oh, I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't... You're right. Yes! It feels so good!
He's exactly me! Oh my god. Yes, to see that's exact... Was that exactly the same expression? Exactly the same thing that I have done like 5 times throughout this episode?
So good! Oh. And I know how much you love these constant dilemmas, so please, keep overthinking everything. Yeah, I do need to work on that.
I'm so happy. Yay! He's done. He's happy. He's good.
Yourself up over what you can't do or what you haven't done before. It doesn't help anyone. So don't overthink it. Just try. All you have to do is try your best to be helpful and to do your part, whatever that is, with the understanding that you can never get doing good down to a science. It's gonna look different for everyone. And don't be afraid to give to yourself either. If someone else ever did as much for you as you've probably done for yourself, you would owe them everything. Treat yourself the way you would treat someone who has endlessly labored to give you a better life, or who has always helped you to remain on your feet through the toughest, most emotionally challenging periods of your life. Try to find your balance between doing good for others and doing good for yourself, because finding a universally correct balance between the two is impossible. And sometimes painful. So just trust yourself. Until next time, take it easy, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Peace out.
Oh, is Roman gonna be in the end card? Was that the good thing about the end card? Oh. Oh, okay, they are real.
Hey, guys.
I wonder if that's actually their names.
Sorry, bud.
I forgot you don't like door yelling.
Nah, no worries. It wasn't so much the yelling as it was people at my door.
Oh my
There's
gosh, I
a
love
virus.
You actually marry both of us now?
it. Yes, please. I really want to spend the last 2 pennies in my bank account on a second wedding.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't be tamed. And it looks like you're gonna have to terrify some other more docile bachelor.
Damn.
Almost had him.
I know. You didn't tell me you guys were coming over. What's up?
Well, we just felt kind of bad because you made it all the way out to our wedding and we barely got to hang out with you.
Oh, what? I barely even noticed.
Really? Because you were sitting alone at the reception.
I was just trying to take it all in. You know, a lot of mental snapshots. I'm trying to go less digital this year.
But you're on your phone.
I was also taking literal snapshots with my phone. I mean, phones are barely digital at this point, right?
Totally.
Well, regardless, we thought we'd try to win back your friendship by bribing you with some treats.
What? You guys didn't have to do that.
Mimosas and pastry.
Brunch Tuesdays.
Brunch Tuesday.
Little throwback.
Oh my goodness.
They're doing every single thing I said. I said have a nice dinner or have a nice meal and talk about things.
What you do for a living? Comedy?
Yeah, I'm a hack.
Well, are you busy? We could just leave these with you.
Oh, no, I was just playing Kingdom Hearts, a game that really centers around the concept of friendship. would you care to join me?
Why would you even ask us that?
What about us showing up at your door with a bunch of brunch and some booze juice makes you think that we enjoy your company?
Cool, come in. We can also do something else if you don't want to play video games.
I feel like the end card's.
Well, seems like things worked out after all. Guess I was wrong about everything. You and I both know that's not true.
I think Odom Sides would be cool. Watch Odom Sides, do what he can do. What is up, everybody? That's scary, but I feel like...
Okay. Gosh.
Why have you done this? Why have you... Now there's gonna be Moseat content everywhere. And maybe it'll be a little more enjoyable, but I mean, it's still not my favorite. Now we need, I want the next episode to be bro time between Roman and Remus and working out Roman's insecurity, please. I want one to talk about, like, family, or like, there should be like a parallel where it's like he's talking about, like, a relationship thing with like not necessarily approving of everything, or like a difficult like relationship, not romantic, but just like relationships between people who you need to like forgive, or who you haven't been, something like that, where like Remus and Roman actually get to talk and work out their differences, and why Roman feels the way he does, and why Remus does the things he does, and how Remus feels about Roman feeling that way about him. Because there's so much angst written about that. I did some of that in my fanfics Graying and Remus's Diary. I'm just gonna shout out. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, because I always reference my own fanfiction here, so I'm just gonna shout out my Tumblr, which is all lowercase marsupials -of-Mars. My AO3 is uppercase marsupials, uppercase of, uppercase Mars, like uppercase starting it, and I think there's underscores or or hyphens or something. And then my writing blog is on Tumblr is marsupials writing blog, all lowercase with hyphens. If you want to check out those things that I referenced, I'm not just tooting my own horn, I'm just saying it would make more sense to you for the things that I referenced if you actually read those. And left a comment, and a like, and kudos, and shared it with your friends. But oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that event. Does that trump Intrusive Thoughts is my favorite episode? Because, that's tough. That's a toughie. It was definitely the longest one. Roman did not get quite a happy ending, but but that's another thing, like the Virgil's, because I was one of them, leaving it like that, and Roman's, he's gone now and he's never coming back. Whenever a character sinks out after saying something like problematic, or like a problem that they have, or like revealing that they still have like unfinished business, you know that that's impossible to pass up, to like not talk about in the next episode. So I really hope the next episode is about Roman and Remus, and maybe the next episode would be about how Virgil. No, it should be family, like the backstory of like Virgil and Remus and Deceit, and how all of that happened between them, and how the split happened, and why they say these ones are bad, these ones are good. And basically, the next episode should be like discussing dark sides, light sides, and how that affected Roman and Remus's relationship, how that affected Deceit and Virgil's relationship, and Remus and Virgil's relationship. I really hope that happens. Maybe that could be like a Sanders Asides, like how everyone reacts to certain things. But I really think, but no, the next episode has to be a Roman-centered episode, because of the last two episodes he's left in the fashion that I was just saying. Like, he's gone now and he's never coming back, bye! And that's like, that was clearly an unhealthy thing. And then now he just left right after, like, practically crying, and Patton said he would check on him. So yeah, I think Roman has to be part of the next episode. So I guess we're gonna leave it here. I'm gonna just say, Thomas, if you're watching this, or anyone on the team, Joan, anyone who did the animation or something, dear God, that emotionally destroyed me. That was amazing. That was astounding. That was I forget the word. Synonyms! That's the word I was thinking of. That was just the best. That took me on a roller coaster. I was actually, like, as excited I was at the start, this surpassed every single expectation I had. This helped explain to everyone I've been trying to explain it to, all of my views. I'm really glad me and Thomas were on the same, me and Thomas and all the writers, Joan, Thomas, all of us were on the same page this whole time. I just didn't realize it. They thought we're thinking the exact same things I was thinking. I'm so happy. This is the most satisfied I've ever been with a piece of media. Maybe a little overboard, but I'm just super satisfied. I feel like a fuzzy bunny with a warm heart, and I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm tired, I'm drained, I can't speak anymore, so I think I should end it here. Check out those fanfictions I mentioned, watch some more reaction videos, share this with Thomas, please. And I'll see you in next reaction video or whatever videos I happen to do after this. Also, I've been actually wondering if you wanted me to, like, I'm not a gamer, or like, I'm not into, but like, if you have anything you want me to react to, Sandersides related, or just something that's cool in general, that would be cool, because I really like doing these reaction videos, and as we know, Sandersides doesn't come out that often, so I would like to, you know, populate my YouTube page with some more content that's not just animation and Sandersides reaction, because that doesn't bode well for a large quantity of content. So if you have any suggestions, leave those below, and I love you.